Welcome back to Anvil of Doom Miniatures. My name is Deets, and today is a very special video because I'm not going to be the only one painting for you. There are thousands of amazing painters out there, and it had me thinking, what if I was to ask one of my favorite painters to paint something for me, and I in turn would paint something for them? Kind of like a mini swap or like a mini exchange type of thing. And in doing this, I could showcase some extremely talented painters, and you and I could probably learn something new. If you take a look through social media, you can see how many talented people are involved in this hobby. And when I was getting interested in taking the plunge, I would always take a look at Instagram for inspiration just to get started. So back in those early days, while I was scrolling through Instagram, I stumbled across an artist that I really couldn't go past. He paints the most amazing Warhammer Fantasy Dark Elves and High Elves, and he also paints these beautiful Eldar miniatures as well. You may have seen him take out second place in the Darren Latham 90s Space Marine painting competition last year with this beautiful Blood Angel, and he also came third last year in Olden Demon with this amazing Eldar miniature. It's none other than John Murphy, or as you might know him as Drooky Gang on Instagram. Now, I messaged John a few months ago about getting him on the channel and doing this mini swap because he's such an amazingly talented painter, and I thought we could all learn something from him. He's a fellow Aussie, and over the past year or so, he's become someone I really look up to and I kind of get advice from, kind of like a bit of a mentor in a way. Now, the rules for this mini swap were pretty simple. Basically, you can paint anything you want, but we're just going to keep it secret from each other and then kind of have a reveal at the end. But anyway, I'm going to hand you over to Murph now because I've got a miniature to find and a miniature to paint. So take it away, Murph.
Thank you, Deets, for inviting me to your channel. Hi everyone, my name's Murph and I love to paint miniatures. I've been in the hobby for close to 25 years now, but it's only within the last 2 years have I been taking steps to push myself and improve on my painting skills. Within the last year, I've had a go at some competitions and I've been very fortunate to have received some awards for my efforts. But at the end of the day, I'm just somebody who's really passionate about playing with little toy soldiers. Alright, now let's talk the model I chose and a little bit about painting. I knew I wanted to go with something that had a nostalgic 90s style paint job. And I also wanted to get something different to Deets' growing collection of fantasy models. This Eldar Wraithguard may not be as detailed as a character model, but I saw it as a great opportunity to focus on saturated colors and smooth gradients. For me, the key to saturation is experimenting with different tones for your shades and highlights, straying outside of adding black to shade and adding white to brighten. Here, I've shaded yellow with magenta. I'm looking to achieve smooth gradients in my transition from yellow to magenta through many layers applied as thin glazes. Get the paint to the consistency of water, but don't dilute it to the point where the pigment breaks up. Wipe most of the liquid off of your brush. There should be such a small amount left that it doesn't pool when applied. You can test this on your thumb before taking the brush to the model. Use the side of the brush and move towards the direction you would like to deposit the color. The pigment will be carried across your brush stroke and will be strongest on the last place your brush touched the model. Repeat this until you achieve the smoothness and coverage that you're looking for. It can take multiple passes, so make sure that the first pass dries before applying the next. For highlights, I add ivory to my base yellow, and then a pure edge highlight of ivory by itself. Use the side of the brush, letting the edge of the model itself do the fine work for you. Finally, I add a generous glaze of yellow ink. This ties in all of our previous layers, and it also adds saturation to our final highlight color. I applied this technique to half of the model. Compare the difference in contrast and vibrance. Thanks for checking out glazing with me. Now, back over to Deets.
Thanks so much for that, Murph, I appreciate it. But now it's time for me to find a miniature to paint, and this was a bit of a tricky task for me. Well, it wasn't too tricky, but it was tricky for me to find an actual miniature that I wanted to paint. As you know, Murph's Instagram name is Drooky Gang, and Drooky actually means Dark Elf, so I thought it'd be nice to paint up a Dark Elf for the channel for once. Now, with the old world coming back and no Dark Elves around, I thought it'd be good to give the Dark Elves some justice as well. And I was originally going to paint up this 4th edition Dark Elf Assassin, but then I stumbled across this really cool, even more badass Dreadlord, and I couldn't go past it. I thought it'd be really fun to paint up. I think he's from 6th edition, and it's a miniature I kind of look at and I go, that's a bit more of a statement piece, so I'm going to paint this up for Murph today. Now first off, I'm going to start off by painting the face because I like to see the character I'm painting, and it just helps me make more color choices later on down the track. When painting a miniature for someone else, it's kind of intimidating, especially when it's someone you look up to. As I was painting this thing, I kept stressing to myself, did I choose the right miniature? Am I picking the right colors? And am I good enough to kind of send this over to someone I look up to? But I eventually did get into a kind of like a flow state, and I just kept carrying on painting him. As I said before, I've never actually painted a dark elf before, so I was really nervous about the color scheme for this guy. He's got a lot of true metallic metal and a lot of purple, so I actually did go out and buy a whole lot of new paints for this miniature. I think I went out and bought 4 shades of purple, and I also got some new Nuln Oil because my old Nuln Oil was all chunky and wasn't that good. For the hair, I go over the base coat of Abaddon Black with some thinned down Dark Reaper, and then highlight each strand with Thunderhawk Blue and a final smaller highlight of Rust Grey to the top of the top knot and the ends of the strands. This Dreadlord has a really cool little dragon mate on his shoulder, and it's one of the main reasons I wanted to paint this mini. What I love about the old world setting is the elves' relationship with dragons. Each elven faction easily has some of the best and iconic dragon sculpts, and this mini gives me a feeling that this guy is a young little hatchling in training, and one day when he's big enough and old enough, this Dreadlord will be riding him. I use my usual colour combo of a Nuln Oil wash, and then Warpstone Glow, and mix in small amounts of Moot Green to highlight up until I get to a pure Moot Green highlight. This will make this little guy super vibrant and a real point of interest. When I'm tackling a mini, I tend to paint in a real unorganized way because I like to paint what I'm feeling in that moment, so I'm just going to throw down some base coats to make the mini look a little bit more complete. Everyone paints in different ways, and you'll probably see some key differences between Murph and I. Now, like always, I'm going to paint my miniatures with a true metallic metal paint scheme, and luckily I did get some new Nuln Oil because this one is a little bit better than my last pot. I don't know what was going on with my last pot, it was all chunky and crap, so this was much easier to kind of get the effect that I was after. I carefully highlight each panel with some gunmetal to places where I want the metal to be more shiny, like the middles of the panels or the sharp edges. I then glaze on some Runefang steel to smaller areas to give it a little bit more shine, and then I use some silver over the top of this. To finish up, I mix in 1 part white to 1 part silver for that final edge highlight. I've never really painted this much purple before, and I really want to do a good job, so I'm going to try my best and introduce a few new colours to the mix. I literally bought every single pot of purple available to experiment with and make this purple pop. I go over my base coat of Xeris Purple with a mix of Xeris Purple and Genestealer Purple in a glazed consistency, and I'm not too concerned if I'm a little messy with this first coat because it's not too noticeable. I then move on to Genestealer Purple, and once I'm happy with that, I start mixing in Cacophony Purple to the Genestealer Purple and paint less of an area. I really enjoyed these colours. I like to work my way down to a pure T'Challa Lilac, blending as best as I can. I finish up by mixing in some pure white to the T'Challa and highlight the edges and tips of each purple area. As I said, this is my first hunk of real big purple that I painted, and next time I'll probably finish off with a wash just to tie it all together a little better. The final parts of this miniature were plenty of fun to paint, and I tried adding a little bit of warmth with a rich red to his undercoat and to his sword handle. And I gave the gold my usual treatment of Gulliman Flesh Wash, Gehenna's Gold, Polished Gold and Silver highlight to finish. I feel like it turned out pretty well, and it was one of my favourite parts of this mini, so here's to hoping Murph likes it. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how this guy turned out. I did fix up a few little bits and pieces here and there, but let's hope Murph doesn't go too hard on me. It's time to pack this guy up and send him down south off to his new home. After a week of waiting, the time has finally come. I just received John's package, so let's open it up and see what's inside.
I'm very, very excited to see what's been sent. To Druchii Gang.
Deets, I painted this guy using some methods as my Olden Demon 2023 entry. I hope you like it. Cheers, Murph.
He sent me a Druchii. How good. Check that out.
Oh wow. So it's a beautifully painted Eldar Wraithguard. I'm pretty sure it's Iandan's colours.
Druchii Lord for Druchii Gang. You can tell a lot of love has gone into this guy.
Man, it is beautiful. Like, he's really good. John, you're really good. It's absolutely amazing.
Great colour scheme. Straight out of 6th Ed. You've got the purples, red robes as well.
Everything's blended so well. I think it's a freehand he's done on the little cowl thing. My God, it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Nice contrast use of color theory with the dragon. Highlights are crispy, very, very smooth skin. Lots of work put into the eyes.
Everywhere I look on this mini, it's just painted to perfection. I'm pretty embarrassed about mine now. I don't feel like mine's up to scratch, but oh well, I hope you like it, John. I got some real work to do. This is amazing. I want to say a massive thank you to Murph for taking the time and painting something up for the channel, for me and for you guys. I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you so much. Make sure you go check him out on Instagram. I'll put his tag down here. It's Drooky Gang. He's got some amazing miniatures on there and he deserves a follow and some love, so make sure you go do that. Now, I found this process to be a really amazing experience. Just to get a miniature painted by someone else at such a high level, it kind of showed me where to apply my paint strokes, how brush control matters, lighting, all these things that really matter when miniature painting. Having this miniature on my shelf is actually kind of special because I can kind of reference it when I'm painting my other miniatures and kind of see what he's done, and it's really helped me level up in a way. So I highly recommend you guys getting out there, talking to some friends or messaging someone and maybe organizing your own mini swap or mini exchange. Please let me know down in the comments below if you like this video and you want to see more things like this. And last up, my dudes, I want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreons. You guys are a bunch of legends, and thank you so much for helping me make videos like this. If you want to join the Patreon, the link is in the bio, and we look forward to seeing you on the Discord. Anyway, guys, take it easy, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.